Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And I'm excited to be here today to work on our sixth tile for the A Fragment of Your Imagination challenge for this year. So we've completed 5, and we're on number 6. And this one features some very different tangles in our little fragments. So if you don't already have one of these packets, you can still get that. The information's in the description. And for this tile, number 6, we are working on, we've got day 21, which is Next by Nadine Roller. And what's really cool is with this handout, if you click on that, it's going to take you to a step out. And that's true for all of them. So day 21, it kind of reminds me of Knightsbridge a little bit. So, and maybe Stiricles. All right, and then day 22 in our circle fragment, we have Pele by Mika Shiohara, CZT. And that's a very delicate look there. For our triangle, we have Frofeese, and it says a fragment of cheese inspired this one. And that's by Ildica Boyd. And a big shout out to Ildica, Nina, and Debbie for putting this packet together and challenging us to take a look at fragments in reticula as well. And our seed fragment is Algae by Catherine Burmeister, CZT. And it's a very different looking seed fragment. And we'll do our best with that. All right, so you have your packet and you have your pre-strung tile. This is number 6. And then I also have a Bijou tile and a nickel to draw our little circle. And you'll need a black pen, a number 2 pencil, and a tortillon. And that's all you'll need for this particular project. All right, let's get started. As we've done in the past, we're going to set up our Bijou tile so that we can practice these before we actually put it on our mosaic tile. So we're just going to draw a line down the center and then cut that in half as well. And then we're going to, let me see if I can make the contrast better. Okay. Then we're going to make this one into a square. And this one's also into a square, but then we're going to divide it in half for the 2 triangles. We're going to put our seed shape down here in this corner. And then our nickel to make our circle. If you don't have quite enough space, you could use a dime, but I think it's just going to fit. Like so. I'm going to put my nickel away so I don't lose it. All right, so we have for day 21, I believe that was next, NAKS. Oh, and if you don't have a Bijou tile, this page is included in the handout, and you can print it to practice on. It features a square, triangle, circle, and seed shapes. And you could print a couple of them and do your practice on that as well. So for this one, I'm going to actually keep it super simple. And in our square, I'm just going to draw a line down that and cut that in half. And then I'm going to cut it in half the other way. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 little squares there. And then I'm just going to draw a circle, an orb. It's just a little orb like that. And it's for me, it's about the same diameter as my pen cap. And then this is the fun part. If you have a wider black pen, that would be awesome. But if you don't, no worries. I don't have one with me today, so I will just be inking this in. I'm starting in the upper left, and you could do it solidly or with lines like I'm doing it right now. And then it's kind of like Knightsbridge. Um, so we're not going to do this one next to it, but we're doing this little area here that we're going to ink in. And then from that one, I'm going to go across to this one because the corners are touching. And I'm going to ink this in. And then I'm going to come over here and do this one. So I did mine with little lines instead of the solid look, but you could easily go with the solid look. I'll just add some more lines here, especially if you have a wider black pen, and that's going to fill in much quicker. All right, so now we're going to switch over to our mosaic tile here. And we are just going to, I'm going to work left to right. So I'm going to draw a line down that half and then cut that in half, just like that. And I'm just going to work on them one at a time. And I'm going to draw an orb in here. And then I'm going to ink this in. Might have to look and see if I have a wider pen. All right, I have that one inked in. And I'm going to go over to this one. And you could add more orbs so that it looks a little bit more like a, like a target, but I'm just keeping it simple with the one orb. I'm going to go across and get this orb inked in. And then pick up this area, which is across from our original one. And I might have to get another pen because I think this one is fading out on me. Let me grab another pen really quickly. Let's try this one here. All right, moving on to our next square. We're going to divide that one in half and then in half again, and then put in our little orb. If you're doing more orbs, go right ahead. And then I'm going to start with this one in the upper left. And move over to this little wedge here. Little wedge in our circle or our orb. Go across and get the other little wedge. And then come down here to the bottom right. Rotate that around because for me it's easier to sometimes ink from the other way. Go back and kind of add some ink to this area. There we go. All right, so we have those two done. I'm going to rotate and come over to here with these two. And I'm going to divide this one in half. And then in half again. And put in my orb. And this time I think I'm going to do kind of the flip side. So instead of inking the upper left, I'm going to do the upper right. But if you want to keep going with the same, you absolutely can. And I'm going to go over here to this little wedge and ink that in. And then the opposite little wedge. And then the lower left. Get around so that I can get the bottom of that. Okay. And then we just have one little square fragment left. And same thing, cut it in half, and put in your orb. I'm doing the upper right. And get the little wedge opposite. And then come down to the lower left. So this has a lot of drama to it. A whole lot of drama. All right, and that's it for Next by Nadine Roller. All right, moving on to the 22nd with our circle fragment is Pele by Mika Shiohara. Where did my, here it is. All right. So for our Palette. I am going to kind of go on the diagonal here because our seed shape comes out this way. And this one is simple but elegant. You're kind of picturing the center here. I'm just going to put a dot there so that you can picture the center, but you don't have to put a dot there. It's just a frame of reference for us right now. And we're going to do curves. So imagine a line here. And we're going to curve out to where it's at the center here. So you're imagining a line here and a line here. And here's the center. So you're going to draw a curve and then curve back in. And we'll do the same on the opposite side, curve and curve back in. So you have kind of like a diamond in the center. And then from this point that we made, we're going to come back in like with printemps. And we do that on both sides, making sure to touch the edge of the circle. And then we're going to come over here. You can rotate if that's easier for you, that we're doing the exact same motions, same strokes. And then in our center, we're just going to do an aura on the inside and ink that in. And that is the very basic palette. And I like to ink it in. You don't have to, but I think it adds a lot to it. And then we'll do some extra embellishing when we do our mosaic tile. All right, I'm going to put this aside and bring out our tile. And again, I'm going to follow this line here. And I'm kind of picturing a center here. I'll put a dot there, but you don't need to. I'm picturing a line here and a line across there. And we're just going to come in with our curve and then come back into our imaginary line. And then we add our swirls or printemps. Like that. And I'm going to aura on the inside. And I'm choosing to ink it in. And then because these have so much drama, I think I want to add a little more drama to this. So I am going to aura on the sides here and ink those in. And then I'm also going to aura in these areas. And ink those in. I'm going to turn them a little bit. I'm going to rotate. All right, so we've got some more drama going on in here to kind of match what's going on there. All right, that brings us to our two triangles. And we will switch back to our Bijou here. Now for Frofeese, Frofeese, um, this one is a little challenging for me, just trying to fit it into the small triangle areas. I don't know, this year I'm just challenged by triangles. But to me, these look a little more like, they remind me of puzzle pieces. So I'm just going to put them in. Let me draw a curve. And I'm just going to put like part of an orb there, but not all the way around. And then I'm going to curve back down to the corner. Then I'm going to aura that. And then I'm going to put another partial orb on the other side, but not exactly symmetrical. It's a little asymmetrical. Then go back to the end. I'm going to rotate this so I can do that again. So I'm just doing the mirror image really. And then for the second side, I'm starting where we left off on the other side. My little arm here. And come back over and meet up with that one. So you have something that looks like this. And then I am actually choosing to ink this in. So it's simple. And then I'm also going to ink in on the outside of that. Like that. All right, let's look at our actual mosaic tile here and see what we can do for that. And this question came up before, if a particular tangle really doesn't speak to you, could you substitute something else? Yes, I don't see a problem with that. I'm following along as closely as I can to what's in our handout. But if one of these doesn't speak to you, or my variation doesn't speak to you, and you'd like to do something else, I don't see a problem with making substitutions. I want you to have a finished piece that you're happy with. So by all means, fill it in how you see fit. I'm curious, what you used as substitutions. So if you'd like to share, I'd like to know. All right, so we started with a curve and then a partial orb, and then finish with the curve. And then I'm going to aura that curve and then put in another little orb here and then finish that. And I'm going to do the same on the other side with a curve or a little half orb, another curve. See that kind of reminds me of a puzzle piece, but I don't know. And this one here, a little off center. Then finish that up, making sure they match. And looking at this, because we have these two dark areas here, so whereas in our sample one, I inked in these three areas, I think on my actual mosaic here, my actual tile here, I'm going to actually ink this part in instead. I'm going to come over here and do this one. So something like that, which is interesting. All right, I'm going to move on to our seed fragment, and we have Algae. I'm going to work this way with this particular one. Algae by Catherine Burmeister, CZT. And if you look at your packet with Algae, there's a lot to fit into our little seed fragment. So we'll do our best. Okay, so I am just going to start with 3 dots. One's a little higher than the rest. And then I'm going to draw a line from each dot down to the bottom of the seed. And then I'm going to connect these with lines. So you actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in there. And then I'm going to go up with lines from those 3 dots. And you could go up quite far. It is going to get a little crowded though. Then we put in these, they're not orbs, but they're kind of like ovals. And they can be different sizes. And then we pile on these very small little tipple, little orbs, tiny, tiny, tiny little orbs. It's a lot for little seed shapes. And because the mosaic tile has so much drama, I am going to actually ink in some of these. So every other one like we do with Knight's Bridge. Just to kind of tie it all in a little bit. It's my effort to kind of make it all tie in together. All right, let's try that with our mosaic tile. Let's see. There we go. All right, let's see. So the center one is a little larger, so let's try that first. And we'll do 3 dots. And then our lines to the center. And then we're going to connect those all along the top there. And then we're going to draw lines up from the dots. And then put in a layer of the elongated orbs, I guess. And then pile on some tipple. So it does have many layers like a cell of algae. But it's a lot to fit in our little seed fragments. All right, we just keep doing that as best as we can. 3 dots. Connect them down to the center. Connect them along the top. We have lines coming up. And then these, oval shapes, and pile on a layer or 2 of the little tipple. And again with the 3 dots, lines coming down. Like that. And lines going up. All right, so we have 3 in there, very fancy. But I am going to ink in some of these to add some drama to it. And that's optional, you wouldn't have to. If you like it the way it looked before, then just keep it that way. All right, so that's what I have. And I'm just going to repeat that over on this side. So because we have 6 seed fragments, it can be a little challenging, especially when we're working with such delicate features. I'm doing my best to stay true to the handout, but it is a little challenging. Now, this one's a little thinner than my other ones, so I'm going to do my best to get all the details in there. It's definitely a challenge. So I'm just going to take it one stroke at a time and fill it in as best as I can. And we just have one more. And our little tipple on the top. 1 or 2 layers, however many you can fit in. And then I'm going to, let's see, with this one, I'll do the opposite of what I did on the other side. All right, we have them all inked in, and they all now have a little bit of drama to them. And I am going to take my pencil and I'm going to add a little bit of shading. This is interesting because it doesn't really need a lot of shading. So it's something that you can definitely play around with, but I'm just adding a little shading along these areas that did not get any ink. And I'm going to continue that on here. I'm going to rotate and do that all along there. Like that. For the seed shapes, just down in the center here. And your circle shape right along the base there, and maybe along the edges. Like that. And we can always go back in and add some shading later. I'm going to do my Bijou, even though it doesn't look exactly like our mosaic tile. We made some changes. So I'm just adding shading where I feel like some would be necessary. We could even add shading around here, like that. All right, we can take our tortillon. I'll do our mosaic first and go with these areas all the way over. Maybe just add a little there because it's on the outside. Rotate. Shading down in there. And we had shading in these areas here. And I think with my tortillon, I'm just adding a little shading to the tipple on the top. Just a little bit. I didn't use my pencil and I don't need to because there's plenty of graphite on the tip of my tortillon. And then I'm just going around my circle here. So not a lot of shading at this point with this one. We'll see if we do some more once we put our mosaic together, because sometimes we like to go back in and add a little more. And let's not forget our Bijou tile here. And we shaded this one a little differently. And around the circle here. All right, so we have our Bijou finished. And then we also have our mosaic tile number 6. And I am just going to flip this one over too. And just going to put for this one, fragment of your imagination challenge 2025. And this was days, I think it's 21 through 24. This is number 6. And then for here, put my name on there. And I think I've been writing it out on the larger tile. 2025. We could put today's date on there if you want to. And let's see. I think we have been filling in the names of them, right? I have my other tiles all together as I figure out how we're going to finish our first set of mosaic tiles 1 through 4. So those are already taped together. All right, so for day 21, we had necks, and that was our square. And for day 22, let's see, where's that one? We have Palais, which was our circle. And for 23, we had the Frofeese in our triangle. And for 24, we had Algae in our seed shape. So for very, very different tangles in our different fragments. And so we've got our Bijou and our mosaic tile. And let me see if I can find our number 5. I do have that one here. So you can see how those are kind of starting to come together, the 2 of them, and then we just have 2 more left to do. So we're on the downhill slope now because we only have 2 left to do, so it's coming right along. And then, like I said, we need to figure out how we're going to finish it because we do have a lot of white space in these areas, and maybe we could do some more shading and add some color. All right, thank you so much for joining me for this 6th tile in our challenge this year. And it's turning out really nicely. I'm really excited to see how it's going to end up. And I'm also trying to think ahead to what kinds of colors I want to use. That's always the thing because there's so many options. All right, I will see you next time for tile number 7. And we're getting so close to being done. Yay! Thank you for following me on this journey. You guys are doing an amazing job and you're keeping me inspired. Thank you for that. And take care. Have a great week. And I love you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.